Imagine paying the price of a house for a flower. Not a rare diamond, not gold, not land, a tulip. It sounds insane, but in the 1600s, this actually happened. For a brief moment in history, tulips became one of the most valuable things in the world. This strange period is known as tulip mania, and it's often considered the first economic bubble ever recorded. But how does something like this even happen? How does a simple flower become more valuable than gold? To understand it, we have to go back to the Dutch Republic in the early 1600s. At the time, the Netherlands was one of the richest places in the world. Trade was booming, cities were growing, and people had more money than ever before. With wealth came a desire for luxury and status. People wanted things that showed off their success. And that's where tulips came in. Tulips weren't originally from the Netherlands. They were brought over from the Ottoman Empire and quickly became a symbol of the wealth and beauty. But not all tulips were the same. Some had rare patterns, bright colors, streaks, and flames on their petals. These unique designs were actually caused by a virus. But at the time, people thought they were incredibly special. And because they were rare, they became valuable. At first, tulips were just collected by wealthy individuals, but soon, something changed. People stopped buying tulips to enjoy them. They started buying them to make money. Prices began to rise, then rise again, then rise even faster. Soon, tulip bulbs were being traded for ridiculous amounts of money. Some bulbs reportedly sold for the equivalent of luxury homes. Years' worth of income, entire fortunes. At the peak of the craze, a single tulip bulb could cost more than gold. And people weren't just buying tulips anymore. They were trading promises. Instead of exchanging actual flowers, people began trading contracts agreements to buy tulips later at a set price. This meant you didn't even need to own a tulip to make money. You just needed to predict that prices would keep going up. And everyone believed they would. It became a frenzy. Ordinary people, not just the rich, started jumping in. Farmers, workers, merchants. Everyone wanted a piece of the action. Because it felt like easy money. Buy low, sell higher. Repeat. But there was one problem. The prices weren't based on anything real. Tulips weren't actually becoming more useful or more rare. The value was driven entirely by hype. Then in 1637, everything collapsed. Almost overnight, buyers stopped showing up. People who had agreed to pay massive prices suddenly refused. The demand disappeared, and prices crashed, hard. Tulips that once cost a fortune became nearly worthless. People who had invested everything lost it. Fortunes vanished. Contracts became meaningless, and the market completely fell apart. Tulip mania didn't just end a strange trend. It became a warning, a lesson about how easily people can get caught up in hype, how quickly prices can rise, and how even faster they can fall. And even though this happened hundreds of years ago, the same pattern still shows up today. Whenever people start buying something just because they think someone else will pay more for it later, that's when bubbles form. So no, tulips weren't actually worth more than gold. But for a brief moment in history, people believed they were, and that belief changed everything.